Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, emerged as a spiritual leader whose influence resonated deeply with millions around the world. When he was elected Pope in March 2013, he made history as the first pontiff from Latin America and the first Jesuit Pope. This landmark moment set the stage for a transformative papacy characterized by humility, compassion, and a bold call for reform in the Catholic Church. From the outset, Pope Francis sought to redefine the role of the papacy. He became an unwavering voice for the voiceless, advocating for the marginalized, the poor, and the environment. His focus was always on service and connection, emphasizing that the Church must reach beyond its walls to engage with the world. With his simple lifestyle and open demeanor, he broke away from the traditional image of a pope living in opulence, opting instead for a more accessible approach that resonated with people everywhere. One of Pope Francis's most memorable declarations came when he famously asked, "Who am I to judge?" In response to questions about LGBTQ individuals, he opened a dialogue about acceptance and love, challenging the Church to embrace a more inclusive and compassionate stance. This statement reverberated beyond religious circles, inspiring conversations about acceptance and understanding in communities worldwide. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis tackled critical issues with courage and conviction, calling upon global leaders to address systemic injustices and social problems. Climate change rose to the forefront of his agenda as he emphasized the need for collective action to protect our planet. His encyclical Laudato Si', released in 2015, articulated a passionate plea for environmental stewardship. He pointed out that climate change disproportionately impacts the poor and marginalized, urging everyone to recognize their role in safeguarding the Earth for future generations. In addition to environmental advocacy, Pope Francis excelled in highlighting the plight of refugees and migrants. During his visit to the Greek island of Lesbos in 2016, he demonstrated his commitment to those fleeing violence and persecution. He brought 3 Syrian families back with him to Italy, making a powerful statement about solidarity and compassion. His actions were a call to humanity, urging people to see beyond borders and embrace our shared humanity. As the world faced growing conflict and division, Pope Francis became a beacon of hope. He stood firmly against violence while advocating for dialogue as a means to achieve peace. His commitment to social justice was evident in various addresses, addressing issues like economic inequality and advocating for the marginalized to be heard and supported. He spoke out against the arms trade, urging nations to find peaceful solutions to their disagreements. However, as the years progressed, Pope Francis faced significant challenges, particularly regarding health issues. Difficulties stemming from aging and previous ailments led to hospitalizations, causing concern among millions who cherished his leadership. Yet, even as his health declined, he displayed remarkable resilience, continuing his work and fulfilling his duties with unwavering determination. On Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025, just a day before his passing, Pope Francis made a powerful appearance at St. Peter's Square. It was a moment filled with anticipation and emotion as he delivered blessings to the faithful gathered before him. His words were filled with hope, urging everyone to embrace love and unity. Throughout his address, he emphasized the importance of faith in building a more compassionate world, even in the face of adversity. But just one day later, on April 21st, the world would awaken to heartbreaking news. The Vatican announced that Pope Francis had passed away peacefully. The news reverberated across the globe, triggering an outpouring of grief and remembrance from people of all faiths and backgrounds. Cardinal Kevin Farrell delivered the news with a heavy heart, saying, "With deep sorrow, I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis." This announcement captured the immense loss felt by countless individuals who had been inspired by his teachings and actions. In the days that followed, tributes poured in from world leaders, religious figures, and individuals who had been touched by Pope Francis's message of love and compassion. Many shared stories of how his teachings had inspired personal transformations or community initiatives promoting justice. The response demonstrated his profound impact on the lives of so many, emphasizing that his work went beyond religion. It was a call to humanity. From Buenos Aires to New York, people gathered to honor his memory. Vigils were held in cities around the world, where candles were lit and prayers were offered. The emotional tributes underscored his commitment to justice and solidarity. In various gatherings, stories were shared, revealing glimpses of how Pope Francis's kindness and leadership had created ripples of change both locally and internationally. Former President Barack Obama reflected on his impact, stating, "Pope Francis inspired us to be better human beings, serving the least among us and reminding us of our shared responsibility to one another." Leaders around the globe echoed similar sentiments, celebrating a man who used his platform to advocate for peace, love, and dignity for all. As Catholics and friends across the world gathered to reflect on his teachings, discussions began to emerge about the future of the Church. Would his successor continue to embrace the vision of compassion and inclusivity that had defined Francis's papacy? Would the Church remain a progressive force in addressing contemporary issues, or would it revert to more traditional practices? These questions weighed heavily on the minds of those who had found hope in his message. During this time of mourning, the process of selecting a new pope became a focus for many. As cardinals gathered in the Vatican for the conclave, conversations surrounding how the Church could carry forward the values propagated by Pope Francis took precedence. His example had transformed what it meant to lead with humility and love. Many looked to the future with hope for a leader who would uphold the principles of social justice, environmental stewardship, and interfaith dialogue. Pope Francis's life was more than a call to religious devotion. It was an invitation to active participation in the work of justice. His emphasis on caring for the marginalized, those on the fringes of society, was a reminder that faith must manifest in action. His legacy prompted reflections not just within the Church, but across communities globally. As people gathered to remember him, many began to internalize how his teachings could influence their lives. There was a collective yearning to be better, stewards of the earth, more compassionate neighbors, and active participants in building a just society. The values he instilled urged individuals to consider how they could contribute to making the world a better place. In the weeks and months that followed his passing, initiatives created in his honor continued to take shape. Social movements emerged that echoed the calls for compassion and social justice, embodying the very spirit of Pope Francis. Many people encouraged dialogues that pushed against bigotry, prejudice, and exclusion, aligning their actions with the principles he championed. As the conclave prepared to elect a new pope, a sense of urgency permeated discussions. Would the next leader have the bravery to continue advocating for the marginalized? Would they uphold the commitment to fight against social injustices that had previously characterized Pope Francis's papacy? These critical conversations became a focal point for both clergy and laity alike, as they sought to understand the future trajectory of the Church. Pope Francis had laid a remarkable foundation that inspired unprecedented strides toward inclusivity and love. His words and actions created a ripple effect, compelling individuals to reflect on their roles in society. The conversations ignited by his life continued to resonate deeply, pointing to the need for leaders to prioritize humility and service above all else. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Pope Francis, questions arise about our responsibility to carry his vision forward. How can we integrate his teachings into our daily lives, embracing compassion as a guiding principle? How can we inspire others to stand for justice and inclusivity in their communities? These inquiries challenge us to consider the active role we must take in upholding the values he embodied. Pope Francis might have departed from this earthly realm, but his teachings will endure, urging us to remember that love knows no boundaries. As we navigate a world filled with challenges and uncertainties, it is essential to infuse our actions with the spirit of compassion that he championed. Through every act of kindness, every effort to uplift those in need, we honor his memory and keep his legacy alive. As we reflect on the life of Pope Francis, it's essential to recognize that his legacy isn't just a memory of past teachings or actions, it's an ongoing call to each of us. In a world that often feels fractured by division, his message urges us to be active participants in creating a compassionate society. This means more than just echoing his words. It requires us to embody his spirit in our daily choices. Consider how you can extend kindness in your community, whether through small acts of service or by advocating for systemic changes. Engage in conversations that celebrate diversity, challenge discrimination, and promote understanding among different cultures and beliefs. We can honor Pope Francis by nurturing a culture that embraces empathy over judgment, striving for peace in our disagreements. In the face of adversity, let us rise to the occasion, standing alongside those who are marginalized, ensuring their voices are heard. This legacy of compassion is not limited to any singular faith or ideology, but rather a universal invitation extended to all, to act with love, serve with humility, and build a future where every person feels valued and included. In closing, let us ask ourselves, in the spirit of Pope Francis, what steps can you take today to advocate for justice and inclusion in your own community? How can you embody his message of love and compassion in your daily interactions?